I spend a lot of time on Reddit. I'm sure most of you do too. I'm on a lot of video game subs, and in particular ones about text-based games. I'm talking games like Zork. I wasn't alive when Zork came out, but I got really into it in high school. When I made it to college, I took an even deeper dive, playing all the sequels, all the knockoffs, and every shitty game people had cobbled together and released online. I had to refocus a bit, adding work on top of college courses so I could afford my shoebox apartment, but I eventually came across a post called Apartment Complex. Not a super promising name, but I was bored and it was free, and the fact that it was hosted on some weird site that I couldn't access from regular browsers appealed to me. It added an element of mystery, so I opened a Tor browser, entered the link, and got to a profile creation page. Basic stuff, username, preferred resolution, etc. It didn't ask for any personal information, so I kept going. Then a text box opened up. Welcome to Apartment Complex. You have been assigned your very own apartment to run, but this isn't any apartment building, because the tenants are going to be experiencing some pretty scary ordeals. You get to decide what happens next. Will your tenants survive? Will you accidentally butcher them all? The power is in your hands. Are you ready? Y for yes, N for no. Why not, I figured. I typed in a Y. More text appeared. Excellent. We'll start you off with an easy assignment level. You have 6 tenants, numbered 1 to 6. None of them know each other very well. Enter a number to learn more about a tenant and begin making decisions. I grabbed a 6-sided die off my desk and rolled it. 3. 3, I typed. Intriguing choice. The tenant in apartment 3 is Sherry. She's 19 and a sophomore in college. All of her friends know her to be outgoing and flirty, and she brings new guys back to her apartment multiple times a week. She doesn't want a commitment. She enjoys sex, but mostly she just likes not being alone. It's possible it's related to how she was repeatedly abandoned by foster parents. Tonight, she brought home a young man named Thad. She plans to have sex with Thad, and he will pressure her to not use a condom. She will say yes because she doesn't want to scare him off, but you can help her out. Should tonight be the night she stands up to Thad and tells him she won't sleep with him without protection at the risk of spending the night alone? Y for yes, N for no. I didn't realize this game would be so domestic soap opera. Whatever, I thought. Let's see how this plays out. Y, I typed. Intriguing choice. Thad and Sherry start to get hot and heavy. When they are naked on her couch, Thad starts to try penetrating her, but Sherry stops him and says he needs to use a condom. Thad complains it doesn't feel as good. Sherry tells him that it's more important that the both of them are protected from STDs. She's feeling a little tense. Thad calls her a whore and a tease and throws his clothes back on. Sherry cries as Thad goes to storm out of the room. Unfortunately, Sherry's door won't open. Thad checks and the door isn't locked, but it refuses to open. Furious, Thad storms back to where Sherry is still laying naked on the couch, crying, and begins to scream at her. Would you like to continue making decisions for Sherry or try another tenant? 1 for Sherry, 2 for a new tenant. This game was weird and pretty retro, but I also found myself pretty intrigued by Sherry and Thad's story. The clunky stories in this game had a certain charm that made them very engaging. Fuck it, let's keep going. 1, I typed. Intriguing choice. Thad continues to scream at Sherry, who can't stop crying. She's afraid he might hit her. Thad hasn't decided if he will or not, but plans to let his anger and lack of concern for Sherry as a human being guide his behavior. If things continue as they are, Thad will most likely beat Sherry to the point where she will need to be rushed to the emergency room. Should that be stopped? Y for yes, N for no. Fuck, I mumbled out loud to myself. This got intense. Y, I typed. Intriguing choice. The ceiling tile falls off. The edge cuts across Thad's jugular. Blood gushes everywhere. He's dead in seconds. What the fuck? I said to myself. This game's fucking weird. The text continued to appear. Sherry is horrified. Much of the blood sprayed all over her. She's so scared she starts to shut down. Sherry won't be taking any more actions for a while. Choose a tenant. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. Damn. Looks like I'm not going to be finishing this game with a decent score. Keep plugging away, though. I rolled the die again. 5. I typed it in. Intriguing choice. The tenant in apartment 5 is Clyde. He is 35 and works at the local First State Bank. His hobbies include snowboarding, tennis, recreational murder, 90s sitcoms, and fishing. He's home alone tonight after his girlfriend Alicia texted him and told him she was leaving him for his brother. He bought a gallon of chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream and is working his way through that in the 3rd season of Frasier. He feels the itch to strangle someone. It's been a while, and he's trying to kick the habit, but the deep well of emotion seems to be so deep that ice cream alone can't fill it. He's hoping to quench the urge with a TV binge, but as he's settling in, he starts to smell gas. Should he investigate? Y for yes, N for no. Not investigating would be boring, so of course I typed in a Y. Intriguing choice. Clyde gets off the couch and follows his nose to the kitchen, where a heavy propane smell is blasting out of one of the burners. He's familiar enough with gas leaks to know that he's one spark away from Clyde Flambe. Should Clyde leave or keep sucking up the fumes? 1, Clyde leaves, or 2, Clyde stays. Seems a bit weird to release the murderer, but it would be boring to just gas him to death. I type a 1. Intriguing choice. Clyde exits his apartment and heads down the stairs to the front door. When he makes it to the floor below his, he sees that the stairs are blocked by fallen ceiling tiles. There are stairs on the opposite side of the floor. On the way, he would pass 2 other apartments which would likely have phones to call the fire department to handle the gas leak. Should he stop at the first apartment? 1, the second apartment, 2, or take the stairs? 3. 1, I typed. Intriguing choice. That was it. No more text. What the hell? I said under my breath. And then there was a knock on my door. I froze. Hey, anyone home? My name's Clyde. I live on the floor above you. My phone isn't working and my apartment smells like gas. Can I borrow your phone? I sat as still as I could, making no sound. Seriously, it's an emergency. I'm pretty sure I heard some noise in there. I need help. On my screen, I saw more text pop up. Should Clyde keep trying the first apartment? 1. Try the next apartment? 2. Or take the stairs on the far end of the floor? 3. As gently as I could, I pressed 2. The clack of the keys sounded like a gunshot in my head. Whatever, asshole. I know you're home. I hope you enjoy being a piece of shit. Then I heard his footsteps going down the hall. The apartment building I'm in is new and pretty well insulated, but I could faintly hear knocking on the apartment down the hall. I knew a college girl lived there. Hopefully she wasn't home. Wait. College girl? No, it couldn't be. Text started filling up my screen again. Clyde went to the next apartment and knocked on the door. He heard sobbing from inside. When the tenant inside didn't open the door, he tried the knob. It turned, but the door wouldn't budge. It looked like it was misaligned, and with the heat wave, the wood had swollen and jammed the door in place. Suddenly, I heard a smash from outside. I tore my eyes away to look at my front door, but it was still solidly shut. The sound had come from down the hall. I looked back at my screen. Clyde used his shoulder to slam the door, and it popped open. He stepped in, calling to whoever was in the apartment. Walking further in, he saw a shocking sight. A man on the ground, his neck slashed open, a ceiling tile on the ground next to him. On the couch, a completely naked young woman, and covering everything, a massive splatter of blood. Clyde grinned. Are you going to help Sherry leave your apartment and go to hers, or do nothing while Clyde murders her? 1. This was so messed up. I couldn't just let somebody murder my neighbor even if I barely knew her. But I was terrified. I got up, ran to my kitchen, grabbed the biggest knife I could find, then went to my door. I took 3 deep breaths to steady myself, then I unlocked the door, threw it open, and ran out into the hall. I looked over to where the other apartment was, and I could see the door had been broken in. I ran as quietly as I could over there, and when I reached the door, stopped short and stuck my head around the door frame to see what was going on. Unfortunately, I couldn't see what was happening from where I was. I crept in as stealthily as I could. The first thing that hit me was that bitter stench of blood. Then I got close enough to see what was happening. Sherry was on her back on the couch. Clyde was leaning over her with his hands around her throat. She was scratching at him, but the blood made everything slick and it looked like her nails were sliding around more than doing damage. I ran up to them and drove my knife straight into Clyde's back. He roared and whirled around. "You bastard!" He yelled and dove at me, tackling me to the ground. He started pummeling me with his fists. There was little I could do to stop him. With each blow, I felt myself getting weaker, my vision darker. And then Clyde screamed. I focused as best as I could. Above Clyde, Sherry was raising the knife for another blow. She stabbed Clyde over and over until he collapsed on top of me, and then she stabbed him some more. I screamed at her to stop, to let me up, and eventually I broke through her terror. She helped me push his body off. I threw a blanket around Sherry and then called the cops. We spent a lot of time going over our stories with them. I left out the dark web stuff because I didn't want to get in trouble. Finally, the cops left. Sherry went to go stay with her parents, and I went back to my apartment. When I got back, words were flashing on my screen. Remember, everything that happened tonight was your choice. We hope you play Apartment Complex again. Hey guys, I just wanted to leave a quick message at the end of the video here because I didn't really feel like this warranted its own video, but I wanted to get this across nonetheless. Over the past year or so, things have kind of gotten in the way of me making videos, just a lot of crazy bullshit and mental health concerns, and there's honestly nothing I'd rather be doing right now than sitting down and recording some gameplay and narrating some more stories. But as most of you know, life is messy sometimes, and things don't always go according to plan. I'm not exactly sure what the future holds, but I want to try as hard as I can to keep this channel running. My last 2 videos have been recorded and edited on my phone, as I haven't really had my computer in over 8 months. But that'll eventually change, and hopefully I can start working towards some projects I've been pretty excited to begin and making some better quality narrations. Hopefully things start to go in my favor sometime soon and I can finally live my life again. Until then, I'm gonna try my best to push out any videos I'm satisfied with and keep my fingers crossed that a stroke of luck finds me sooner rather than later. If you made it this far into the video, I just want to say thank you so much for your time. This is something I've always wanted to do, so your support really puts a smile on my face. I guess this would be the part where I hit you with the obligatory like and subscribe bullshit, but that just seems a little too ham-fisted. Once again, thank you so much for listening. There's more to come.